Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to today's webcast. My name is Zina M. Pagan, ARF's Marketing Manager and your moderator for today. Before we begin learning about the ad testing revolution, I'll review our house rules. We are aiming to provide the best webcast experience possible. You can help us execute this by keeping yourself muted and keeping your computer web cameras turned off. The audio will be streamed. This means that you will be able to hear us through your computer speakers. However, if you prefer to use the teleconference option, please use the information provided on your screen. Additionally, I will post the information on the chat box throughout the webcast session. Should you have any questions during the session, please send these to me also using the chat box and send these to the host. That would be me. ARF does not own the copyrights to the presentation. However, the session will be recorded. If you would like to view the recorded event, the recorded file will be available within 2 weeks from today to our members. We are extending the conversation on social media. If you'd like to join us, please use hashtag #ARFWebcast. If you're interested in hosting a webcast of your own, please contact me at zina@thearf.org. We will have video displayed throughout the presentation. Please be sure to turn your computer speakers or your telephone volumes up in order to hear clearly. We do have a few events coming up. Through March 9th, ARF is hosting our winter session of the Leadership Lab. This semester, we will give you the tools to make the complicated ad tech world more simple. Our next webcast will be held on March 8th with the MAC group. This webcast will aim to help you improve your brand performance. And last but not least, I invite you to join Ad Age's Executive of the Year, Wendy Clark, Peacemaker Jose Miguel Sokolov, Gymnastics Champion turned CMO Jen Stay, and Financial Marketing Guru Raja Manar at our annual conference on March 20th to the 21st. If you're interested in any of these events or other ARF programs, you can visit our website for further details or contact me at zina@thearf.org. And without further delay, I present to you today's webcast. The ad testing revolution will not just be televised, it will also be socialized with Kantar Added Value and AT&T. Ladies, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Great. All right. Maggie, you have now control. Please take it away.
All right. Well, this is Brooke Shafer from AT&T. On behalf of Maggie and myself, we are so excited to be talking to you today about this topic. It's been a few years in the making, and lots of hard work and thinking has gone into this, and we're excited to share what we've learned along the journey of this. So what I want to do is let's just jump right into a kind of level setting of why the social world is so important. And so from an AT&T standpoint, AT&T buys a lot of media. And when we're thinking about how we go reach that next generation buyer and how do we change their perceptions of what AT&T is from being just a telecommunications company to being now an entertainment company and changing the way and brand equity of AT&T, I have to kind of take a step back and I have to think about what is that view of how do we go reach those consumers. And so here what you see is that by the end of this year alone, we are going to be reaching 25 million users online. 25 million users are actually going to be streaming just their paid TV content through their mobile device or their tablet. They're going to be using over-the-top, if that's Netflix or Hulu or YouTube. They're not going to be going through a linear platform. And then by the end of this year, you're also going to get 87 million users online that are blocking their ads. So when I think about, aside from AT&T sells those products or going into other products, so when I think about it from an advertising standpoint, as we all do on this call, I think about it as how do I go reach that next generation? If 25 million are moving off of linear paid TV and they're moving to online streaming services, and 87 million are blocking my digital ads, then I have to really be forced to change the way I think about it. So that takes me to, we've really kind of gone to this tipping point, and I think we probably all feel it, right? That by this year, by the end of this year, we are going to be spending more on digital and social than on TV, and that's going to keep changing. And so as we start to think about how that allocation is and how do we get effective in our digital and social, and I think as we start thinking about the metrics that we use, a lot of those metrics to date are mainly media metrics, right? There are media buy, it's viewership. We don't know a lot about the creative itself. And so for me, I kind of take a step back and I look at what has Facebook done, because the evolution of Facebook and the way Facebook has changed the game for us has really been pretty substantial. And when we think about how the over-the-top streaming, right, and the paid TV and your digital ad blockers, there's not a lot of other ways to go advertise to them except for social, where you can't block it, and I can reach that next generation buyer. And so let's take a look at how Facebook's kind of evolved to that place. It happened real quick, right? So from a measurement standpoint alone, in 2004, it was shares, right? We optimized shares. Did I share something? Did I get the creative out there that I wanted to? And it was all about being viral. By 2010, it was all about optimizing to clicks. Click-through rates, are you driving to the website, how's that going? And that's how that's how we were buying on Facebook. And then by 2013, it became a little bit of an audience view. I want to buy to certain audiences that are out there. And then that lasted for about 2 years, and now we're in this world of brand recall lift. It's the estimated brand recall list of, hey, I'm trying to get my brand out there. I'm trying to think about it from a brand and messaging standpoint, very akin to TV. I'm trying to drive a story in this new channel. Well, none of the metrics that we have really I can drive for the story piece of it and the brand piece of it. So we had to rethink our strategy of, okay, if Facebook's going to optimize to brand recall, how do I know if my brand recall is even working, and how do I go tell the creative folks what to go do to change that? And if that's the only place that I'm going to get that reach out of, this is really important, and we got to nail this. And so that brought us to the next point of, oh my gosh, AT&T is getting Taylor Swift, and we just signed a multi-year deal with Taylor Swift, and guess what? She's on social a lot. And so as we started to think about how are we going to go about all of this, how are we gonna reach that next generation with the assets that we have, we can't do it through the traditional methods. Am I gonna take our launch of Taylor Swift and am I gonna look at it through social listening and clicks? People clicking on the Taylor Swift content from us and going somewhere for it, that's not really indicative of us driving the brand, is it? When I'm trying to reach that next generation consumer and I'm trying to think about, am I changing their minds and hearts, that metric doesn't come through in clicks, right? And so when I think about, okay, well, and if your click-through rate is somewhere around 1%, then how do I know if I actually reached that other 99%? I mean, let's just take it straight from the standpoint of marketing research 101, right? If 1% of people that we sent out a survey to responded to the survey, we would say that was probably a really biased sample. So why are we optimizing to a 1% with our social? And so we had to rethink it. Now, there's a lot of roadblocks that are out there right now. So when AT&T sat down and we rethought it became okay, so there's no information on competition. there's, so I can't compare it. Like TV and digital, I know what's going on with the competition, but in this space, I didn't know. And there are no category benchmarks because when I look at clicks, it's just mine. I can't look at anybody else's. And then the in-market metrics are never revealed a lie. So let's just say, for instance, that the click-through rate was really high for a Taylor Swift spot. I don't know if that actually meant, one, that it drove the business, but two, if that actually, why that actually was high. We can all infer reasons, but we don't actually know that. And then there's really no way to measure if it's top-notch content, right? I can't give any insights back to the creative team to go make it, to go optimize and make things better. You can do A/B testing, but then you're only, A/B testing is to refine within a campaign. I'm not getting macro insights from that. And then there's absolutely no way to optimize the creative at that macro level without doing A/B testing where, you know, I'm changing one specific element and then doing it again and again and again. So that takes me to the next point of social changed really quickly, and the landscape of advertising changed really quickly. When you look at what we just went through for Facebook and how the optimization changed quickly, when you look at how paid linear television viewership for the next generation has gone down and it's all about streaming, that changes it. When you look at ad blockers, that changes it. And so then it forces us to go, we need to catch up. We need to start to rethink the way we look at this, the way that we look at social in general, and how we're going to go reach that next generation. And so what I did was I picked up the phone and I called Added Value. Added Value has been just a phenomenal partner to us at AT&T. They've been with us for 30 years, and they have been just fantastic. And so I'd love for Maggie to kind of take you all through what she did for us and how that has been so beneficial for AT&T, and I think that everybody on the call can probably really benefit from some of the thought leadership that they've given to us.
Wow, thanks, Brooke. That's incredible, and obviously we are so honored to be sharing this session with you, Brooke Shafer, our great friend from AT&T. So, yeah, I mean, Kantar Added Value has had an absolutely amazing run with AT&T. We've been working side by side for over 30 years. But the primary reason for this sustained partnership is that AT&T has always been an extraordinary pioneer. This goes way back to their Bell Lab days, and they've driven category reinvention on a continual basis. We can just think about the recent DirecTV acquisition, and even more so the announcement of the potential Time Warner purchase. You know, these things just underscore that. So for us to be of value to them and have real business impact, we had to evolve, innovate, and pioneer alongside them. So we've been testing and helping AT&T optimize their advertising for an incredible 3 decades. But in this new world of social and digital media and the role that advertiser creative content plays on it, we needed to develop the right methodologies to inform and guide AT&T, leveraging the latest tools and technologies to make their creative even stronger and impactful. And frankly, we were asked to help AT&T respond to some of the challenges that some of these walled gardens, if you will, have created in terms of how they compute and share data. So it started with respecting social as a mature media channel and not simply relying on the platform providers to feed back metrics of clicks and shares, et cetera, as Brooke had said. So step 1 was recognizing that social is composed of different platforms, each attracting and engaging people in different ways and serving different purposes in people's lives. We needed to understand and be sensitive to that what creative works well on the various platforms and in what formats. It's not a one-size fits all medium. It's not matched luggage. You can't just test one ad on one platform and then roll it out on another and think that it's going to work in the same way and have the same impact. And so we wanted a way to test out our various hypotheses about how the different platforms impact ad receptivity. For example, you might hypothesize that Facebook is like a large family wedding where everyone pretty much knows everyone else and spends time catching up, sharing stories, swapping photos and such. So for a marketer, better the tone be more conversational, to be seen as authentic and genuine, rather than just a slick suit making a hard pitch. So this is an opportunity really for the brand to present itself in a charming and even unexpected light. In contrast, Twitter is more like speaking from a stage. Going in, your audience will include a good number of strangers, so maybe a different tone is suited, one with a bit more of a trumpet, one where you can really make best use of promoting your timely brand announcements or big promo shouts. So we needed to create a methodology that tested the creative in situ, that is directly in one's personal private feed. This was paramount to AT&T. We didn't want a mocked up clutter. We didn't want a public feed. We wanted to really be able to put the social in an environment that really reflects the toughest challenge that marketers have of breaking through this personal feed. So we built a system that captures actual behavioral metrics to illuminate what AT&T's target customer, that's another point, we screen for target specificity, so what they actually do when they're exposed to the content, and we survey those target customers to learn how they take in and react to the content. So it's 100% personal feed, 100% on mobile, unless, of course, your buy is reflecting, a feed that would be desktop and mobile as well. So you may be asking, how does this work? And hopefully, speaking of how this works, we're hoping our video will work for you as well on this webcast.
How does this work? Following screening requirements, respondents log into their social media account. The test ad is always placed between the first and second post in their newsfeed. This space fosters an organic interaction between the ad and respondent, as individuals are unaware of the brand being tested. Respondents' behavior is recorded, including whether the ad was clicked on, where drop-off rates occur in a video, how long the ad was on screen, and much more. After the live exposure, unaided brand recall is captured. A fourth second exposure is served, and additional diagnostics are collected. So the magic is in conducting the research among the targeted audience, marrying the multitude of behavioral metrics we obtain, and has developed norms for on a respondent level basis across rich media and static ads of varying shapes and sizes by platform with survey data that helps us diagnose why people are engaging or not, and if the content is doing what it's set out to do. So for AT&T, we do this simply and seamlessly across all mediums and provide core, consistent KPIs across channels for the marketing and the advertising teams. In effect, we're providing this steel blue thread across channels for them. But it all goes back to, as Brooke said, this is marketing, or in this case, communications 101. To be an effective ad or piece of creative content, it must first and foremost break through. It's got to break through the noise and register the brand, the sponsor. Otherwise, everything else is moot, period. So Kantar added value has always employed a clutter for TV, print, radio, even outdoor, and now we can test digital and social in a cluttered environment too. So leveraging ad injection technology, we embed the test creative on a target's consumer live personal site, and we do this on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So the survey data helps us measure if the ad is meeting its broader objectives. Is it conveying what you intended? Is it engaging in the way you hoped? And is it reinforcing or building the brand values and positioning strategy? So importantly, we need to recognize that in this social milieu, advertising content is often competing with highly personal stimuli and content, including incredibly talented cats and dogs, of course. And as well, it doesn't come at a clearly defined break. You know, social just shows up randomly and is almost ever present. So the challenges, therefore, of becoming a welcome visitor or contributor are even more complex. So together with AT&T, we've been on this journey to learn what does it take to be a valued and welcome partner of a person's new, quote-unquote, social life, if you will, to not get blocked out and ignored, but instead to be seen and heard. So through prior comprehensive media mix modeling, we've learned that branded recall of TV ads was a driver of AT&T's gross ads or their net new customers. So the name of the game now was to learn how best to optimize the social content in order to get someone to stop scrolling. So through the course of our analyses, we developed 5 guiding principles to driving greater breakthrough and VTR. And in so doing, we've helped AT&T boost their ad awareness by more than double on Facebook and seen double-digit growth on Twitter, too. So we'll share those highlights with you today and some of those basic principles. So Brooke's been keeping us busy. In the span of the last 18 months or so, we've tested over, boy, at this point it's probably closer to 400 ads, including AT&T, as well as a host of competitors and adjacent category ads, and ads that Facebook and Twitter claimed were best in class. So one might say we had an overwhelming amount of data, both behavioral and survey, to dig into. So we decided to look at it from a number of different angles. Step 1, we took our inspiration from my favorite Martian, not Ray Walston, but that other Martian, Matt Damon.
In the face of overwhelming odds, I'm left with only one option. I'm going to have to science the shit out of this.
Forgive the profanity, but hopefully you appreciate the joke. So we turned to our whiz-bang team of data scientists and asked them to find drivers of playback duration. So they examined the behavioral playback duration data with all the survey data, and through structural equation modeling, sought to uncover what are the elements that drive breakthrough and VTR. So not surprisingly, the longer someone engages with your content, the higher the brand recall. But we also learned that having a distinctive message directly tied to playback duration. And interestingly, that live action video, more so than other graphical or animated content, can also lead to playback duration. But this notion of novelty, being fresh and distinctive, and its relationship with saliency is something that neuroscientists have been telling us forever, really. You know, the holy grail is sparking these saccadic eye movements, triggering the brain to tell the eyes it's time to switch gears and look at something else. Or simply said, our brains turn our attention to that which is distinctive and new and that which makes us feel good. Gaining attention is neurologically all about novelty and reward. So we also came at it from a different view, and that was to conduct a content analysis where we took the entire database of ads and broke them into the very top and the very bottom performers. And using a number of different behavioral metrics and by ad format, we then deconstructed and examined the ads to see what the top had in common versus those at the bottom. And this led to our guiding principles moving forward. So on the surface, I'm sure these guidelines seem quite obvious, but having tested hundreds and hundreds of these ads now, you'd be pretty floored by how many don't adopt these principles. Remember, you're not the guy who, you are the guy who just showed up at the wedding. So you want to make sure you're George Clooney and not George Costanza. So holding on to viewers means
principle number 1, opening with an intriguing introduction. Holding on to viewers means opening with a fresh bang. This measure of intrigue that sets the ad far apart from the everyday stuff. We know that viewers stay tuned for the unexpected, not the everyday. So to elicit intrigue, an ad needs to capture a fresh take to trigger that novelty-seeking impulse in our brains that I was just mentioning. So on the Maytag ad, we've got the screenshot there. On the left, there's a Maytag repairman running in place in someone's kitchen while holding a sack of groceries, and the homeowner is debating what to eat. He represents the energy efficiency of Maytag's refrigerator and is obviously a pretty intriguing sight to see in one's kitchen. On the upper right, Mindy Kaling for American Express opens on not 1 but 2 alarm clocks going off at 4 a.m. before she slams them off, and then turning on a nightstand, and then cue the intrigue, she writes something down into a spiral binder. How can you not want to see what's next coming from this, right? The lower right, we've got from Nissan, a sweepstakes ad opens with a woman in black saying to the camera, "Congratulations on making it to the final clue," followed by more intrigue. "Unfortunately, this game and my time in the Altima are coming to an end." And this is spoken as she appears to emerge from the trunk of the Altima wearing a helmet. Here's a sampling of some of the top performing ads and their ability to generate this intrigue right out of the blocks. If I can get my mouse, there we go.
Congratulations on making it to the final clue. Unfortunately for me, this game and my time at the Ultima are coming to an end.
Okay. Number 2, an eye-stopping visual certainly doesn't hurt. Given the emotional power of pictures, the way to create intrigue is with an eye-stopping visual. Number 3 speaks to the value of arresting copy, or killer caption, as we like to say, the payoff to an eye-stopping visual. It adds to, ties in, or helps explain what the visual is conveying, and is therefore another key to creating intrigue. Number 4, and not to be overlooked, make sure you've got a strong brand presence. Top-notch content are very effective in using iconic brand imagery. And ideally in video, get them in early. This is something for 30 years of my career I've always fought against, never telling clients that you need to get the branding in the first 5 or 10 seconds. But in this arena, the stakes are different. And getting those brand cues early to maximize the chance that people will associate the ad with the brand, even if they tune it out after a few seconds, is really important. And then finally, it's social. Keep it light and playful in the social sphere. Positive experiences get more consumers engaged, and it provides a little escape from the ordinary, too. So Brooke can tell you how they've taken the learnings from social and applied it within the organization at AT&T. Brooke?
Yes. So if hopefully that was very helpful for Maggie to take you through all of that, and that you can probably see just by that overview how beneficial that can be to our business, and it really has been. So if you just think about it from just the main areas, the advertising agency has loved this, because it actually gives them something to really sink their teeth into and understand from a content standpoint what really drives that content. And it almost takes it out of sterile metrics and gives them something that they can really grasp onto and make really good creative from. So it's been hugely beneficial there. I will say, though, from the AT&T standpoint, the biggest benefit to us has been the CMO and executive summaries, because for the first time ever, I have a single metric that I can report out on across TV, digital, and now social. And so social is not like, you know, the far-off cousin or stepchild of the platforms anymore. I now can talk about it as our metrics of brand recall and message recall and likability and customer intent, and just some of those metrics across all of my platforms. And so when I can bring that to an executive in one view and talk about how that content is working across all these platforms, it really changes the game from an executive standpoint, because now I don't have to change their mindset, right, from one thing to another. And it's really, I think, amplified social internally and put it on the same seat as TV. From a media agency standpoint, this has been hugely beneficial to help with the optimization. So a lot of times in the social space, it's very difficult to figure out if it's a media issue why something isn't working or if it's a creative issue why something isn't working. And so much of the time, because we're only using media metrics of clicks and impressions and engagement, it's very hard to parse out what is what. And now we can parse that out. If the creative performs well, but it's not doing well in market, but it performed well in copy testing, I know that it's a media issue. So I don't want to kill the creative and not the media. And so this helps us to determine what the real issue is and really to tackle it head on. Media team loves it, the agency loves it, and it's really garnered that holistic view for us. And so, you know, overall, hopefully what this has showed you, both from the standpoint of a social and hopefully, you know, part of this has been our desire of showcasing that this category of advertising and buy is shifting substantially. And we have to change the way we think about those metrics. And going to Added Value, which is my traditional copy test partner for TV, and they completely rethought the game of social for us. One goes to show how strong of a partner they've been to us, but two, it goes to show that, you know, I wouldn't discount traditional marketing research for social space, because it, for us at least, has been a hugely beneficial piece to the puzzle of social for us.
So that's it for us. I mean, obviously, from the Kantar Added Value side, as I said, we're just extraordinarily proud to partner alongside AT&T and look forward to the next 30 years. But very happy to open it up to questions from folks, should you have any.
Are you able to hear me? This is Zena.
We are, Zena, thanks.
Thank you. We now open it up for questions with our presenters, Maggie Taylor, CEO of Kantar Added Value North America, and Brooke Shafer, Director of Advertising and Retail Insights at AT&T. First question, and this is for Brooke. Which metrics do the execs spark to most?
Very good question. Well, of course, you know, it's metrics that are tied to sales. And so we have done some modeling on our side to figure, with Added Value, to figure out what those metrics are, and from a copy testing standpoint, and we look at those. It's a whole slew of them, but some of the really basic ones that I would say any company should look at without even doing any modeling activities is going to be your basics of, did your brand come through from a brand recall standpoint? Because if you're optimizing your social do the estimated ad recall lift, you want to make sure your brand gets through. So if I look at TV, digital, and social for brand recall, for are you recalling the message of the creative? And then obviously if they like the brand, overall brand opinion shifts, and customer intent to purchase. So are they interested in purchasing your product?
Next question, how do your measurements differ from the competition?
That's a great question.
Oh, go ahead, Brooke. Or I'm going to take it? Yep. Do you want to
go for it. Go for it.
I think, as Brooke has just been saying, and forgive me, I can't speak for the entire industry, but from what we can see, a couple of things are of paramount importance for us, and it goes back to that issue of, you know, the ad has to break through. So critically important, once again, is the fact that the initial exposure is in a person's live personal feed. So we have a very rigorous test for breakthrough. But equally important is it's not enough that it just breaks through, but people need to know that you are the sponsor, that AT&T is the sponsor. So we do capture that brand recall on an unaided basis. As well, while in that cluttered environment, we will also ask people what they took away from the content. So we'll have a sense on a spontaneous basis of, is the content communicating whatever it is that the brand wants to convey, and is that strategically on target? The behavioral data that we collect, importantly, again, is also, I think, uniquely in that that context of a person's personal feed. And then for many of our clients, we also employ what we call the emotional brand connections technique, which really brings in some system one thinking of not just understanding how people react to the advertising, but also importantly, what impact does the advertising have on the emotional connection people have with the brand. So I think we've got a couple of points of distinction there on that front.
Next question for Brooke. If your ambition is to become a mobile entertainment provider, are you also viewing the content you create as a way of delivering that you offer, not just as advertising?
Yes, that is a great question. Yes, absolutely. So as AT&T starts streaming more of its content through mobile and tablets, of its DirecTV content, showcasing that in your mobile feed through social is incredibly important, and changing that perception in those channels for us is of utmost importance. And so, yes, we are absolutely focused on that.
Okay, Maggie and Brooke, do you have any final thoughts before we close it up for Q&A?
No, you know, the one last thing that I would say that from the social perspective for this, and the copy testing demo showed this, but just to reiterate it, what makes this so different, I think, is that, and has been so successful for us, has been that it actually dynamically goes into your real Facebook post and your real Twitter and your real Instagram post, and that has been so beneficial to all of that data that we can collect and the copy testing results of that, and has given such a layer onto what we currently used to get from the basic metrics. So hopefully you guys kind of got a sense of that on this call of all that something like this is able to deliver.
Great. Yeah, no, again, just want to profusely thank our beloved client, Brooke, for joining us on this today, and I hope everybody on the line found it interesting and fun. Thank you.
Thank you. If anybody does have any questions at the conclusion of this webcast, please feel free to send these to me. My email is Zena, Z-E-N-A, @thearf.org, and I'll send these along to both Maggie and Brooke so that you can continue the conversation offline. I would like to take this opportunity to thank both Maggie and Brooke for taking the time to present their work to our webcast crowd, and I thank everyone who was able to join us. I do hope to hear from all of you again for our next webcast on March 8th. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.